Hi there, this is Shrikant Sari. So in this lesson, we are going to learn about how the conditional statements work in C++. Okay, so if you are familiar with C programming language, then this lesson is not a big deal for you because the conditional statements work in the same way as they work in C or any other programming language in the world here. Okay, so since we are learning the programming language from the very ground up, so I decided to make a tutorial on conditional statements. Okay, so first we are going to learn about the very basic conditional statement, which is a simple if statement. Okay, so let me launch the IDE. So we know that we are using Visual Studio 2013 for Windows Desktop. So already I have created a project with the name simple if, and it contains nothing but simpleif.cpp file here. Okay, so I'm just adding the basic stuff like header files. So I was stream. Okay, so I was stream conio.h. conio.h. So let me add the namespace, so which is very essential. Using namespace std. So int main get ch and return 0 here. Okay, so we have all the very basic stuff added here. Okay, so if you run the program until now, nothing happens. No big deal here. Just it displays the empty console window. So if everything goes well, okay. So also it's taking a bit time since we are running it or we are building it for the very first time here. Okay, so you got this annoying message. That's because excuse me. So that's because this antivirus, which is an annoying antivirus in the world, Avast. Okay, so if you run your program until now, it should be no big deal for you. So I'm just letting the configuration details such that our output looks more viable here. Okay, okay. So here, so to demonstrate, I am just taking a variable here, int I. Okay, so let me assign that value to 0. Okay, so okay, so if or else let me assign that value to 1 here. Okay, so what happen or else, okay, so what happens is if you take the if condition is taken like this here. Okay, so if keyword followed by parenthesis, so here you're supposed to write some condition. So that condition, let's say if I. Okay, so let's keep it as I simply. So let's have a message here. This is true. So that's stupid silly message. So this is true, you're in. Okay, you're in. Okay, so I have just done a simple stupid message here. Okay, so if what happens here is now if you run this very tiny little program, you get the output as okay, this is true, you are in. Okay, so we have this form of output here because the reason because so what happens here is since you are taking the value of I is equal to 1, so the condition will be true if I or it generates the if you take an expression here. So if it evaluates if any positive integer so the most in a most convention way we take it as 1 here. Okay, so if this never matters if you say something like this here. Okay, so if you say something like this, it's going to be the same output for you once again. Okay, so if it's I is equal to 1 or it yields the same if the expression gives you if the expression consists any value other than any positive integer. Okay, so that's the reason. Okay, so if I, okay, so what happens now if imagine if you have 0 here. Okay, so nothing happens here. So even though you say if I, and if you run your tiny little program here, So what happens is nothing happens here. Okay, so the compiler will never executes this block of code here. Okay, so the reason behind that, because if the I is set to 0, so ultimately the whatever the expression you are putting in the inside this parenthesis yields to 0. Okay, so that's the reason you get you never come to this block of code here. Okay, so if you can have another cout statement outside the if condition here. Okay, so this isn't true. Okay, so I've just put another silly message. Isn't true, and if you run the program now, uh, I think it's debug mode here. Okay, so if you come out of the program, go to full screen here and run the program once again. So now you get the result as isn't true here. Okay, so the reason because so as soon as the 0 we have set the value 5 to 0, it encounters that the expression is evaluating to result 0, since I consists of value 0, so it never executes this block here. So automatically the control skips out of this block and is just reads the cout statement and just puts in the output window here. Okay, so in this way the simple if statement works here. Okay, so if it's set to 1, or if you build an expression which is whose result is conditionally true. Okay, so if it's true, you can take something like this. If it's overall, if the condition is true, so then you can build an expression, or else you can execute. You can imagine that that particular block of code which is written under this if condition is evaluated here. Okay, so in same way, let's take another variable here. Let's go to full screen. Let's say x here. Okay, so let's say x. Okay, so let's grab some input from the keyboard for the x variable here. So let's say //t. So enter some value for x. Okay, so enter some value for x. Let's say cin. So cin x here. Okay, so I have taken a variable x and just grab some input to it. Now let me use this simple if statement once again. So let me say something like this: if x is greater than or equal to 0, let's put it in this way. So you can say cout //t. So x is a positive integer. Okay, so I'm just putting a message here just for understanding purpose. Okay, so or else outside the if block here, so you can say something like this: x is negative. Okay, so x is negative integer here. Okay, so now if you run this again, the tiny little program once again, so it's asking for some value for x, let's say 1. So as soon as so it gives you, this is the drawback of using a simple if statement here. Okay, so as soon as you're entering 1, so automatically the condition is true, since x is 1 is greater than 0, and it's prints out this statement here. So as soon as this comes out of this block, also it also executes this statement here. Okay, so as continuing that statement, so there is no conditionally, we are not blocking that code here, so that's the reason you get the output as both the integers here. Okay, so now it's not the case if you enter a negative integer. So look what happens here. So if you run the program once again, so if this time if you enter -1, so it says x is negative here. Okay, so this is the drawback of using a simple if statements. Okay, so never so when you are building a certain kind of logic where you need to execute a particular block of code, and you don't want to execute the other block, so in that case you need to use this if-else conditional structure here. Okay, so that's we are going to look in the next lesson here. Okay, so here our intention is to learn how the simplest form of a conditional statement, which is simple if, works here. Okay, Okay, so if you observe here, I have enclosed the first if statement within a parenthesis, and I have ignored for the second simple if statement. Okay, the reason behind that, so when you have a single if statement, you need not enclose them within parenthesis. That is not mandatory. So, or else if you want, you can do it for good looking of the code here. Okay, so even though if you have only one statement under your if condition, you are never bothered. You don't even have to bother about enclosing them in parentheses. Okay, sorry, or in braces. Okay, so don't say parentheses here. Okay, so this is the basic stuff about so how to deal with the simplest conditional statement, which is simple if statement. Okay, so I request you, if you have any doubt or if you like the video, subscribe to this channel and put your views in the form of a comment in YouTube. Here is my YouTube channel here. I'm just opening it for you. So if you go to Google, we go to Google and just if you type the sorry tuts, okay. So if you go to that leads you to my channel here. Okay, so here you find the tutorials on all programming languages. So you can feel free to subscribe to this and comment on whatever the video you wanted here. Okay, so see you in the next lesson. Okay, so I'm running it for one last time. Okay, so let's say again -2. It's negative integer. Okay, so see you in the next lesson. Goodbye.